August 2023, Americans should understand this. The American financial system and globally, you're going to start to see the biggest transformation, not only in the financial system, spiritually, mentally, physically. You're going to see one of the biggest transitions as we move forward. As your financial advisor tells you that cryptocurrency, your tax advisor tells you that cryptocurrency is a fraud, as they all told you that it's rat poisoning, that it's used for money laundering. At the exact same time, they're building global infrastructure around this brand new monetary system. And the banking system is about to go through the biggest transformation that it has ever experienced. I've been sharing with you guys with interest rates skyrocketing, it is literally squeezing the liquidity out of local mid-sized banks, and you're going to see a massive monopolization of the mid-sized and smaller banks. You're going to see a transition to 24/7 real-time payments, on-demand liquidity. We need velocity of money to fix this system because America, every single dollar in the system is someone else's debt. America's at 120% debt to income ratio, and we need to borrow and raise the debt ceiling to pay for critical services. Most banks right now are teetering due to interest rates going up and the bond yield inverting. And most people are moving to non-bank financial institutions outside of the traditional bank. Banks make money in three ways: interest income, fee income, and capital markets income. Well, if people can't get loans and companies start to lay people off because it's no longer cheap to run their companies because of inflation and interest rates, they lose their interest income. If the capital markets come collapsing down because there's a cause and effect of people getting laid off and banks not able to lend, then they start to lose their fee income and interest income. And if the capital markets come collapsing down, there goes their capital markets income. So if you're no longer using the bank and they're not getting their fee income and capital markets income and interest income, it creates a great opportunity for the biggest banks in the world to monopolize the smaller ones. And in crisis, they change the rules. And just like all other industries, Google, Amazon, you'll see a monopolization, a transformation, and there'll be a very few select people who get in at the right time and exit at the right time. And the wealth gap is going to become massive. The middle class is getting wiped out, leverage source technology moving down to the working poor. And you need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. So I'm about to show you about a 3-minute video. This is just my opinion. This is them, the Bank of International Settlements. Do not make any financial moves based on what I say. At this end of this video, I have a very important message for you. So let's watch this video first, and then I'll break down what I think is happening. So to give you context, this is the policy approach for addressing risk posed by cryptocurrencies, decentralized finance. Listen.
Thank you, Fernando. Thanks for inviting us to talk about our work. Crypto assets, like Martin said, has been taking up a lot of time and mental energy in terms of thinking about what the next step should be. If I could just start with a big picture sort of framework, which I think you're hearing from each of us, I just want to sort of maybe put it into my own words, which is I think there's 3 things that we probably are all trying to do. You've heard a lot about us trying to agree on minimum standards that can be applied globally. And that's a lot of what you've heard is us working on that. And Martin was just alluding to the second one, which is once we have those in place, we have to work to ensure that those are implemented consistently around the world. You can't have pockets where it's not implemented. It just doesn't work at that point. And then the third piece is...
He said we're working to implement them, not if. Your financial advisor is telling you crypto's a fraud. Your tax accountant's telling you crypto will never stay. They're coming up with global regulation. It's when and how, not if, when and how.
I think you've heard it a few times already, this is an area that's just changing rapidly. Martin referred to 3 different phases. Neil referred to some changes in how hard it is to categorize things. We have to have a framework in place that ensures that we're going to cooperate, coordinate, and share information, because once we put these standards in place, we can't just sit back and go, it's done.
Once we put these standards in place, not if we do, when we put these standards in place. This is about crypto assets.
We have to be talking to each other all the time. So that's the sort of big picture of what we've been working on. In focusing on that first part and agreeing on those standards, what has the FSB done? In 2020, we released our first set of recommendations, high-level recommendations, and they were focused on global stablecoin arrangements.
Arrangements, not if, the arrangements for stablecoins in 2021.
2022, October of last year, we released a set of recommendations on crypto assets, activities, and markets, a broader set of crypto assets, I guess is the way I would describe it. Again, a high-level set of recommendations. If you look at them, and I'm not going to...
So if cryptocurrency is a fraud and we're not going to be using it, then why would they be giving recommendations? Wouldn't they just ban crypto?
Please don't ask me to quote all the recommendations. I could try, but I won't get the words right. So, and I'm not going to recite them to you now. But three principles that underlie those, and I think you've probably gotten a sense of this from others as well here. If it's the same activity and the same risk that's involved, the same regulation should be involved. You can't say, well, we're different. If the same risk is there, it's got to be the same regulation.
It sounds just like Gary Gensler. He's repeating the BIS information. Listen, you're going to hear a lot of similarities.
The technology, we've taken a neutral approach. So what is the underlying technology? Again, it goes back to that first principle. If it winds up with the same risk, I don't care what the technology is underneath. So we have been technology neutral in the recommendations that we put out.
That's exactly what Gary Gensler says, technology neutral.
And then the FSB, because we're trying to sort of provide this coordinating envelope, our recommendations are high level. They're not going to give you specific nitty-gritty standards and guidance. That's what my colleagues here are working on. So they're high level and they're designed to be flexible. Different jurisdictions are going to have different situations and circumstances into which they want to apply those recommendations. So hopefully we've met those. So where are we? In October 2022, we sent these two sets of recommendations, which are supposed to be a comprehensive set of recommendations.
This is going to give you the timeline. Pay attention. August is going to be huge.
For the supervision and regulation of crypto assets. We sent them to the G20 as our draft set of recommendations, and we also released them for public consultation. So they were out for several months on that. The consultation was largely supportive, and we're about to release the revised final recommendations. They'll go to the G20, which is meeting in about 2.5 weeks. The revisions, I think you'll see that most of the revisions reflect events that have taken place in crypto asset markets over the past 6 to 9 months, things like FTX, for example. So you'll see some recommendations where you can very much see the link to what has happened there. So are we done? No, of course not. We're looking now to go deeper into some areas. For example, we now know that these large crypto conglomerates that perform multiple functions have some risks that we weren't aware of. So we're doing some deep analytical dives to sort of assess the financial stability vulnerabilities. Not making policy there yet, not making recommendations there yet, but trying to understand them better.
First they resist it, repeat after me, then they sue it, then they regulate it, then they join it. So he is from the Financial Stability Board, so pause and read what they do. Here's the G20, the countries in the G20. They're meeting very soon around the regulation. And if you watch the video I did yesterday on my YouTube channel, linked in bio, every single day, I show you how this same meeting, they talk about they will have regulation by the end of 2023 for crypto assets. And I want you to pause and read this. There's a systematic shift in the American banking system. This is exactly what I've been preaching. We have high interest rates. Money is no longer cheap. You're now going to see the reverberation effect in Q3 and Q4 where companies have to lay people off. When people are laid off, they can't pay their loans. Banks make money in 3 ways: interest income, fee income, and capital markets income. So when the people start to lose their income, they can't service their debt. The bank stops making money off interest income. Companies start to collapse, their loans go bad, they no longer have interest or fee income. When the capital markets come collapsing down, they lose their capital markets income. That's why they're pushing hard on non-bank financial institutions and feverishly putting regulation in for crypto. Eventually, you'll have a monopolization of the banks with the largest banks, and your banks will custody your crypto. Welcome to the new way of doing finances. August is going to be the transition that has been happening for a very long time, and it will continue on. And eventually, you will forget about all this and be operating in the new financial system. Warriors, let's get your shit together. Love you. Okay, very important message. I will never proactively DM you. Those are all scammers. I will never ask you to send me money, ever. Use discernment. We have an education academy linked in my bio. I have an Index Universal Life team. We do a free consultation to help you secure and protect your wealth. It's a free consultation. We'll never ask you to send us money. Love you guys. Everything's in my bio here on TikTok. Love you.